I was doing ADR with Rob, and I was like, "Oh, you added some like spit in you know, whatever the like effects or whatever," and he was like, "No, that's yours."
Oh my God.
And I was like, "Oh my God." I have to say, I thought that looked cool on camera. I was like, all right, I like that.
Nosferatu.
Well, it's lovely to be chatting with you today.
Lovely to chat with you.
Well, I guess I kind of want to start with one thing, which is just kind of like your work thus far as an actress, because something that I've really noticed that I love about your work is how you're interested in these ideas of duality, right? Like, I think you see that a lot in The Idol. You definitely get a lot about that in here. And I'm just kind of curious, what draws you to characters that have these like deeper kind of desires within them that they eventually kind of have to embrace or maybe not embrace?
Thank you, first of all. And yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's just perhaps just like a side of kind of human existence that fascinates me. I mean, I think, you know, as actors, like we're drawn to roles for plenty of different reasons, but I think that, you know, there's also something like on a deeper level that calls to you from a, you know, within a character that like makes you feel like, you know, this part is for me, because like there's, you know, tons of fascinating roles out there, but the people that play them are the people that are meant to play them, you know? And so like I feel like for me, making choices is really important, like making the right choices and just knowing why I choose to do something or not. And so I feel like, yeah, every character that I've played has kind of like called to me in that same way, where I'm just like, I feel that there's a deeper reason that I want to explore it and want to explore it, and perhaps it's just like something within myself that I want to explore. You know, I really like the emotional aspect of this job and just like getting to dive into that. And I like the challenge as well. I think that like, you know, the more emotionally complex a character is, the more it's going to push you, you know, outside of your comfort zone, push you to like explore different facets of your artistry. And so, yeah, I'm very interested in that.
Yeah, because I read and I've heard you talk about the fact that like the heaviness of this character was a major reason that you were drawn to it, and I know you were like super excited and enthusiastic about getting the part. So I wonder if you could just kind of talk about that a little bit, talk about like why you felt really compelled for this one specifically, outside of like, you know, I know you like vampires and stuff like that, but you know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm, first of all, like a huge draw for me, of course, was Rob. I mean, I'm a huge Robert Eggers fan. I think he's like such a one-of-a-kind filmmaker, and so the opportunity to work with him, honestly, no matter what the story was going to be, was you know, super interesting to me. And then beyond that, I thought it was really special how central my character was and how central her perspective was to telling the story, because it's a perspective that I think we haven't gotten to see as kind of profoundly in past iterations of this story. And she's so complex, she's so layered, there's so much going on with her, and so much going on that is also at the same time very much at odds with the world around her and like the society that she inhabits. And so I think, you know, getting to explore that was really exciting to me for so many reasons. And, you know, there were a lot of places that this role was going to take me that I hadn't necessarily been to before as an actor, and so that was exciting to me too.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously the physicality of the performance is, I mean, it's like the highlight, I think, of your performance. I mean, there's so much you're doing. I know you worked with, you know, movement coaches and stuff like that, but when you take a step back and you're watching yourself on screen for the first time, was there any part of that performance, specifically when you're, you know, contorting yourself and doing all these things, that like even shocked you to the extent to which you were able to push yourself, you know?
I mean, I'm so proud of the movie, and I'm proud of myself as well, I have to say. I think I'm very critical of myself. I feel like it's hard for me to ever watch a performance of myself without like, you know, just nitpicking it and thinking like this or that or whatever. But I'm happy with it. I mean, I trust Rob so much, and I trusted him so much when we were shooting, that I knew that he would never lead me astray. And this story was so personal and so important to him to tell that I know that, you know, I had to have faith in his vision and in the places that he was going to lead me. But I don't know, I'm trying to think like for like watching it. I guess like I was happy with my little back bend. That was cool.
I was gonna say that was like the moment where I was like, "Did you do that for real?" Or
yeah.
Did they have you like kind of like?
No, I did that. I thought that felt like the right direction to go in physically in that moment. I have to say I thought that looked cool on camera. I was like, all right, I like that. And yeah, I didn't know that I guess I was so lost in the scene or something, but I didn't, like, in that kind of, like, scary, like, demon face moment that I do, like, towards the end of the movie, I was doing ADR with Rob, and I was like, oh, you added some, like, spit in, you know, whatever, the, like, effects or whatever, and he was like, no, that's yours.
Oh my God.
And I was like, oh my God, that's cool.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, I imagine just the nature of a Robert Eggers set allows you to kind of lose yourself in the environment like that, which allows for a performance like that to come through. And I'm just kind of curious how you balance that with how specific of a vision he's after, because he obviously has something very clear in mind, but he has to allow you as an actor in order to, you know, explore the space or something like that.
He does, and I think I had like an immense trust going into it, even though it was my first time working with him, because I, of course, love his work, but specifically, I love the performances that he gets out of people. I think that I'm always astounded by his actors and what they do, kind of at the mercy of his tales. You know what I mean? Like led by Rob, I feel like his actors always deliver performances that I personally love, and so I was excited to kind of abandon myself to that process in a way. And he works in a way that's very specific, and it's very, like, it's, the whole thing is like storyboarded before you even get there. So like the movie exists and you have to kind of fold yourself into it in the most seamless way possible. And so I guess I just tried to like abandon myself to that process as much as possible and find freedom within a structure that was more kind of structured, if you will, than anything I had done before.
What is, just offhand, what is your favorite performance in a Robert Eggers film? That's obviously not yourself, but...
I wouldn't say that anyway, but...
Oh, come on.
Honestly, I have to say Willem Dafoe in The Lighthouse.
Yes, that's the one. That's the one. Yeah.
Let Neptune strike ye dead, Winslow!
I actually rewatched. I obviously had seen it when it came out and I loved it, but I rewatched it like a few months ago, and I was like, damn, this is really the performance of a lifetime.
It's incredible, yeah.
Willem's one of my favorite actors anyway, but that performance, I mean, like, I found myself like literally with my jaw on the floor watching that movie sometimes where I'm just like, what the hell? This performance is insane.
No, for real, yeah. Well, and there's something, I've had the privilege of speaking with him a few times over the years, and one of the things that he's incredible. One of the things I really like about him is just how he talks about performance. And he always mentions, I don't know if you guys ever talked about this, but he always mentions like needing a trigger in order to get into character, whether it's like a walk, a hat, or a pair of teeth or something where he can lose himself in order to become what this person is. And I'm kind of curious if, like, your process of discovery for a character, if you have something like that, like a trigger in order to kind of get into someone like Ellen in this case.
Yeah, I mean, to me, for me personally, I mean, like, every director is different and provides you with different kind of like resources and like things to kind of rely on. I mean, Rob provided me with like a huge list of like, you know, amazing movies to watch. He gave me this text also to read called Peor, which is this like text about this girl who has this kind of love story, sexual awakening with a vampire. And so that was like a kind of a bit of a Bible for me when we were shooting. But to me, the work always starts internally and like from an emotional place. I think that's why I like doing this job, because I just feel like I have like perhaps a lot of emotion to explore or something, or like expel. So to me, it always starts with the emotion. And I think even if your character is going through something that is like super far-fetched or different from anything that you personally have gone through, there's an emotional, you know, baseline there that's universal and that you can connect to in some kind of a personal way. So for me, I need those triggers too, but they're more emotional for me. Like it's, you know, just like finding ways that I can relate on a personal level to whatever they're going through.
Sure. So much of this film is, and one of my favorite aspects of the film is how people jump through these mental gymnastics in order to rationalize stuff that is like a bit more straightforward than it really is, or than they would think it is. I think what's really interesting is when you take a step back, it speaks to, you know, humanity and what we often struggle to reconcile with when the most obvious answer is there. So I'm curious for you, what do you think that says about us collectively and what we're afraid of and perhaps maybe we don't want to confront, even though in the back of our heads we know that that's probably what it is?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, you know, this movie speaks to a lot of the kind of like baseline human fears that we have. I think it's a way, it's like a vessel, you know, to talk about death in a way, and like the link between life and death. And I think that we go as humans to great lengths to avoid the reality of things that really terrify us, and things also that feel unavoidable. I mean, you know what I mean? Like I think at the core of that fear, of course, is the idea that we're all going to die and we don't know what that looks like, kind of thing, which is, you know, like a very I guess, existential idea, but it's it's something that we all live with because it's something that unites us all. And so I think that, with that comes so many different facets of that fear that we, use art to explore. And so yeah, I feel like it's hard to face that inevitability, I guess. And so we go to great lengths to kind of dance around it in a way. And I think also this movie specifically speaks to whether or not we're ready to believe people, believe.
Yeah.
I mean, women specifically, and just how how much we're willing to accept in ourselves, how much we're willing to accept from those around us, and when are we ready to kind of put our preconceived notions aside in order to really believe people who are speaking with real conviction.
Yeah, no, 100%. That's time for me. But look, I really appreciate your
Thank
work
you.
here. Again, I'll tell you again, it is my favorite performance of the year. You are
Thank you so
incredible,
much.
And I seriously hope you get the recognition you deserve for this.
Oh,
because
thank you. That's so nice.
It's incredible work. Yeah.
Thank you so much.